Have you ever noticed the person who almost never posts anything? No stories, no check ins, no achievements on display, while the rest of the world constantly updates every meal, every trip, every milestone.
Let's take a group selfie right now.
They choose silence. At first glance, you might assume they're missing out, that they're less connected, that they're somehow out of the loop. But what if that silence isn't a lack, but a deliberate choice? Maybe they've realized something the rest of us are still trying to figure out. The less your life needs to be proven to an audience, the more real it starts to feel. And maybe the person who doesn't post isn't avoiding the spotlight. They just don't feel the need to step onto the stage in the first place. Think back to the last time you were about to post something. Maybe you opened your camera, edited the photo, wrote a caption, and then paused. Why? In that brief space between preparing to share and actually hitting post, your brain kicks into gear. A rapid stream of questions flashes through. Is this good enough? What will people think? Am I trying too hard? That's not oversensitivity. It's social evaluation happening in real time. The human brain is wired to seek acceptance from the group. But on social media, that group can mean hundreds or even thousands of people, many of whom you barely talk to anymore. So, that hesitation isn't random, it reveals something deeper. Every time you post, you're placing a piece of your self worth on an invisible scale. Sociologists have long said that people perform different versions of themselves depending on the situation. But social media has taken that performance to an entirely new scale. In real life, an awkward moment fades away. Online, it can live forever. A status update, a photo, a joke, all of it can be replayed, analyzed, and judged at any time. So, some people choose not to step onto the stage at all, not because they have nothing to share, but because they don't want to turn every experience into content. If you've ever felt pressure before posting, comment, relate, or just type 1 below. Let's see how many people genuinely feel this way. Research shows that a large percentage of social media users mainly scroll without sharing. They follow, keep up, observe, but rarely show up themselves. Some call them lurkers, but the reality may be the opposite. When the pressure to post combines with the fear of comparison, mental fatigue starts to build. You're not just consuming content, you're constantly measuring yourself against it. Social comparison is a natural instinct, but when it happens dozens of times a day, it becomes heavy. Someone else's promotion, someone else's vacation, someone else's relationship, all of it quietly turns into a yardstick for your own life. Choosing not to post can sometimes be the brain's simple way of protecting itself from that overload. The irony is that even when you know social media is just a highlight reel, it still affects you because your brain doesn't process information as logically as you might think. It reacts emotionally before you have time to analyze. You see someone achieve something, and even if you understand it's only the best slice of their life, a part of you still feels like you're falling short. People who post less often tend to reduce this loop, not because they never compare themselves, but because they participate less in the unspoken competition where everyone carefully chooses their best angle. And when you're not constantly placing yourself in that competition, you gain more space to focus on your own progress. Here's something interesting. Many people can watch YouTube for hours but avoid Instagram or TikTok. Why? Because watching a long form video is more about consumption than performance. You don't have to prove how you're living. No one questions why you haven't posted in 3 months. There's no pressure to show up. That creates a lighter experience. You learn, you relax, you reflect without building a personal brand. If you're someone who prefers watching over posting, leave the word watch or any emoji below. I'm curious how many people genuinely feel comfortable not putting their lives on display. People who don't post often tend to maintain smaller but higher quality social circles. Instead of chasing 1,000 likes, they prioritize a few genuine conversations. Research on happiness suggests that the quality of relationships matters more than the number of them. A handful of people who truly understand you can create a deeper sense of safety and connection than hundreds of surface level interactions. When you're not pulled into the cycle of constant updates, you have more time for direct connection, phone calls, in person meetups, meaningful conversations, and that creates a kind of intimacy that social media can rarely replicate. Psychology distinguishes between public self consciousness and private self consciousness. One is about worrying how others see you, the other is about caring how you actually feel. People who post less often tend to lean toward the second. They ask, "Does this mean something to me?" instead of, "Does this look impressive?" When you're not constantly managing your image in front of an audience, you gain more space to understand your own thoughts and values. That's not withdrawal, it's focus. Many people assume that not sharing is a sign of insecurity, but sometimes the opposite is true. Choosing privacy can be a sign of clear boundaries. It's the awareness that not every moment needs an audience. A sunset can feel more beautiful when you're not searching for the perfect angle. An achievement can feel more complete when you're not already thinking about the caption. Real power isn't about how many people see you. It's about being able to live comfortably without needing to be seen. Social media promises connection, community, and self expression, yet sometimes it leaves us feeling more isolated and more performative than ever. The paradox is that those who step away from the constant cycle of posting often already have what social media claims to offer: confidence, control, and real connection. They're not rejecting connection, they're rejecting the conditions attached to it: comparison, judgment, and the pressure to constantly show up. In a noisy world, silence can be one of the most powerful choices. So, is it possible that people who don't post aren't missing out at all? Maybe they've simply chosen a different way of living, one where self worth isn't measured in likes, where connection doesn't need to be public, where experiences don't have to become content. We've walked through a journey from the invisible pressure before hitting post to the quiet trap of comparison to the strength of personal boundaries and self awareness. Maybe the real question isn't, "Why don't they post?" but, "Why do we feel like we have to?" If this video made you think, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss deeper psychological insights each week. And check out other related videos on the channel. You might discover a perspective that helps you move through the digital age with a little more ease. Sometimes, in understanding yourself is the first step to breaking free from invisible pressure.